Hey y'all! Today we're learning to make royal icing flowers a little bit more quickly. We're doing some fast flowers with Russian piping tips and royal icing, and I just absolutely love the way these turned out. This is my Russian piping tip. I ordered these off Amazon and I'll link them in the description below. Now, anytime that I'm doing royal icing flowers or anything that I need to be really puffy and the icing needs to hold its shape really well when I'm using a piping tip, I like to make that icing on the same day that I'm going to be using it. This is the recipe I use. You can download this little recipe card printable in the description below. It's really simple and easy. It's just a really beautiful fluffy royal icing that's perfect for florals. I talk about it more in my florals cookie decorating online class. You can learn more about that in the description. But this recipe is fantastic for making florals. But anytime you have royal icing sitting for a day or two or even more than a few hours, it's going to start to separate into solids and liquids, or it's going to start to develop a little bit bigger air pockets in it. And when you first make it, when it first comes out of the mixer and it's just been beaten with that paddle attachment, it's really smooth and perfect for decorating. But like I said, once it goes past that few hour mark, then that's when you might start to see some problems with liquid and solid separation. That's usually after keeping it in the fridge for a day or two. If you absolutely must use icing from the fridge or leftover icing, definitely pop it back into your stand mixer and mix with a paddle attachment for a few minutes before using it to make florals. But I recommend using fresh icing straight from the mixer and then just adding color anytime that you can. So I've created one color to go around the outside of my piping bag. I've got my piping tip down in the bottom, and I'm just using this small palette knife to kind of run the icing around the outside edge of the bag. This isn't going to be a super thick layer of icing. This is just going to be enough to kind of get that color where it needs to be on the outside of the flower. So now I'm just kind of readjusting my bag, and I'm going to use my second color, which is going to be the center of the flower. I did a red and a yellow for this. It was Valentine's Day, so I wanted it to be one of those bright Valentine's colors. And then I'm placing the second color into the center so that it's just kind of falling down in the middle, and then squeezing that down into the base of the piping tip. Now, it took me a couple tries to get my technique just right, and I'll zoom in a bit here so that you can see what I was doing. So you can see here when I'm pulling the bag up and away from the flower, it's not really creating that pretty flower shape that we typically see in a Russian piping tip when we use it with buttercream. So I wiped away the tip and I did a couple more practice runs. I was holding the piping bag really close to my surface, and it was kind of smushing the shape of the flower. So what I had to do was wipe away the previous tries and start all over, and actually hold the piping bag about a half inch, maybe a quarter to a half inch away from my surface. That way it could begin to pipe out and then be stopped by the surface, and then I could pull my bag away. So I'm holding and squeezing away from the surface, then it makes contact with the surface, and then I can squeeze just a bit more and pull away. And it created that really pretty flower shape. So let's see that on the cookie now. So as you can see, I'm holding it just a little ways up from the cookie as I pipe, and then pulling it away straight up from there, kind of as if I were making a dot or something. And I'm just sort of placing these randomly. I want to leave enough room for that larger piped flower that I'm going to do in the center. And you can learn more about how to create this style of flower in my Royal Icing Flowers Masterclass. I have a couple videos about florals that you can see on my channel as well. So for this flower, I'm just using a small piping tip. I'm not sure of the exact number. I think it's a Wilton, like maybe 102. And it's just a small, no angle piping tip to just do a basic flower shape. And I've done some greenery here just with a cut tipless piping bag using those teardrop shapes that I've talked about in some other videos. But I just think this Russian piping tip approach would be so handy when you have a lot of florals to do, like at Valentine's Day or at Easter or Mother's Day when it's springtime and we have a lot of pretty floral cookies to get done. And if you're a cookie decorating business owner, you know that sometimes you have a lot of designs to get done and not a lot of time to do them. So I thought this would be a great way to save yourself a little time on those florals and still have beautiful, beautiful cookie designs without having to spend tons of time on them, because we know the shorter amount of time we can spend per design and still get that really beautiful, high quality product to our customers, the better our profit margins are. I'll talk about that a little bit in my cookie career online course. If you want to learn more about that, I'll put that in the description as well. But I talk a little bit about how time really is money when you're a cookie decorator, because this is such a time-consuming craft. It's wonderful and therapeutic and a great way to spend your time. But it is also, if you're going to do this as a business, you do kind of have to consider the cost of your time when you're doing that. So after I've added a few cute little yellow dots, I'm going to come back in with my tipless piping bag that I've cut into a V at the end and create some leaf shapes around each of those flowers. And you can get creative with where you put those leaves. If there's a little hiccup anywhere on your flood, that's a great place to put a leaf or a flower. When in doubt, put a flower on it, is my philosophy. And then after I get done with these leaves, I just went in and did a little painting on this cookie. There's another video on my channel about watercolors and painting with lemon extract and gel food coloring to create that watercolor effect. On this cookie, it was kind of more of a glass effect though, so you'll see that in just a minute. But I was so happy with how these turned out. I thought they were really sweet and springy, and looked like something that took way more time than they actually did. I'll link the watercolor video in the description below if you want to check that one out. It talks about how I do this watercolor technique on a dried, flooded royal icing cookie. I'm just doing a few different colors to kind of make it look like the light is reflecting off of a glass jar, and then I'm going to go back in there with some white icing and add some details on top. And while I'm doing this, I just want to say hello. If we haven't met yet, I'm Sarah Grace. I am the owner of Sarah Grace Cookie Company. It was a home bakery in the start, and I just started out serving local customers with decorated sugar cookies, and then that eventually turned into classes, which became online classes, and now I teach online cookie decorating classes, which you can find on my website, sarahgracecookieco.com, and I teach other cookie decorators how to build a flexible business with their cookie decorating skills. So if you'd like to learn more about that, you can go to sarahgracecookieco.com. You can learn all about all that I just mentioned on my blog, through the YouTube channel here. There are some resources mentioned on my website. Oops, I made a boo-boo on the icing. I think I go back and cover that up with a leaf here in a minute. Like I said, when in doubt, put a flower on it. That is a good spot for a leaf. In the comments today, I would love to know if you have ever used Russian piping tips to create floral royal icing cookies. Tell me how your experience went. Tell me what you liked and didn't like about it, and I would love to learn more about what you think of the Russian piping tips. If you enjoyed this video today, I would really appreciate it if you liked and subscribed for more cookie decorating and cookie business content. There are some free resources for cookie decorators in the description below, such as that cookie recipe, an icing recipe printable card, and some more resources that you might find interesting and videos that you might like. Thank you so much for watching today, and I hope you have a great rest of your week. Bye-bye.